T-Bone Walker intro from Mean Old World. Great intro that he uses in numerous places. I've also heard other players throughout music history use it. B.B. King, Lowell Philson, more recent players, Nick Curran. Great intro to have in your bag. This particular one's in G, so we're going to break down how it functions and how the chords work so that you have a good understanding of this and you'll know how to move it to other keys and make it part of your music vernacular. So we've got a G9. G is on the 5th string, 10th fret. We're going to explain what's under my fingers and why the theory of both the chord theory as well as the harmonic movement of this progression works at the end, but I'm going to walk through the chords first. So from there we're going to go to F, 9, down to E flat 9, to D9. D9 is the 5 chord in the key of G. G, A, B, C, D. That 5 chord is the most tense sound, leading to the 1, which is resolved. You hear the tension and the resolution. That's a really common device in a lot of music. So what we're doing there is we're taking that G9. So why is that a G9? That's the root. We're going to have the root, the flat third, the root, the 3rd, the flat 7, the 9th, and the 5th on top. So I'm barring, and I'll write this chord out at the end so you'll have a diagram. That's at the 10th fret. We just move it to the F9, still the same function, root, 3, flat 7, 9, and 5th. Down to the E flat, same function, same to the 5th. And then we have a little blues lick leading to the G on the 1. Now, later on, I put this little device in. It's called a G13 because I have an E note. Same thing. So we'll talk about it as well. So let me switch screens here and I'll diagram all this out for you and you can snatch a screenshot of it to help you learn it. So the T-Bone Walker intro. What we're doing there is on the 5th string, we're going to walk from G9 down to F9, down to E flat 9, and then D9, which is creating the tension, leading to our 1 chord on the 6th string, which is this case going to be G7 or G9. That's where we're heading to. So our pattern here to memorize is from the root. If you want to play in the key of G, you start on a G on the 5th string, you walk down a whole step, 2 frets to F9, a whole step to the E flat 9, a half step to the D9, and then that's going to resolve to your key center and you're off into your 12-bar blues pattern. So there's your intro. If I map that out on the fretboard, there's your G, walking down to your F, walking down to your E flat, and walking into your D. If you don't know these notes, we need to learn those. That's something you want to definitely get under your fingers, is knowing where the notes are at. Stop thinking for tab. It's not 10, it's not 8, it's not 6 to 5. I mean it is, but you want to learn G, F, E flat, and D. That's going to be the root notes of the chords. So we want to know those because when I go to the chord, I'll use a different color here just so it stands out. Let's talk about G9. G9, the formula from the 10th fret. You have the root, the 3rd, the flat 7th, that's a dominant chord, and the 9th, we'll talk about that in a minute, and the 5th. Now on top of that chord, we can also reach up and grab the 6th or the 13th, we'll talk about that too, here. That's going to apply that same shape to each one of these chords as you're walking down the blues. So let's take a break and talk about those notes there. So G9, well, if you have a G scale, 8-note scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, it's a flat 7, we'll talk about that later, G for dominant. If you go past the G, the 8th note, it starts over again, we're back to A, the 9th note, so we're adding in a 9th note, an A, to the G chord, thus G9, G dominant 9th. The 6th or 13th that I referenced with the pinky, it turns out that's actually your 6th note, G, A, B, C, D, E, and outside the octave, if you were to count up, keep going, you're going to get to the same note, E again, but it'll be the 13th note outside the octave. So inside the octave 6th, outside is the 13th, same thing. Outside the octave is the 9th, which would be the same as the 2nd note. So if all that theory sounds a little bit deep, we can break it down a little slower for you and go over it. But I highly encourage you to know what's underneath your fingers and how it applies harmonically to the fretboard. That's going to make you understand the fretboard much better as a player than just thinking about memorizing shapes, moving around, and not really knowing why you're doing what you're doing. Always ask yourself, why is it called what it's called, and how does it function, and how do I take it to other songs? So if we're going to change the keys, we'll reapply it. So maybe we want to be in the key of A. I'm going to find A on the 12th fret, same chord, going down to the G, down to the F, and ending on the E, and that's going to lead us to the A7 now. So I can move that around different key centers if I like. I could also do it with other chord structures, but let's stick with the basics for right now, kind of how T-Bone did it. You can play it a little different. You know, you can get that kind of a thing, or you can slow it down with the arpeggios like he does in Mean Old World. Listen to enough T-Bone, you hear it a few different ways, and you hear other players do it across history too. So I hope that helps out. Hope that made sense. And then I'll put that diagram back up for you one more time so you can get a screenshot or you can look at it. And then definitely go hunt down some different players to try to find that sound. T-Bone is probably your best bet. So hope that helped. If you need any help with it, reach out to me. I'm available for private lessons at thefretfeed.com. I'll have a link below, and hopefully this will be something you can incorporate into your blues playing.